Well, it ain't all rainbows and unicorns here at Phal Phail Orchids. You know, sometimes things don't work out like we planned. The Phalaenopsis schilleriana is what we're showing tonight. And clearly, what we've been doing with the schilleriana is not working. So, we like to give a little history. So, really quickly, the history of the Phalaenopsis schilleriana. It was discovered in around 1860. It was described in Reichenbacher, which is the original German publications and registrations here for orchids that were brought into Europe from abroad. And I think it was even existed before kind of the Royal Botanical Gardens, although I could be wrong on that, their registration. So it's a very old orchid and discovered, I think the Philippines is where Phal schilleriana comes from, the Philippines. I could be wrong on that as well. Then it took a couple years before this became kind of part of the trade and was readily available. However, today, fast forward, 160 years, this orchid is readily available in most orchid nurseries that grow Phalaenopsis and have seeds available or plants available. You can get this orchid, and that's really nice because it's a species, natural form. And it has a lot of very good traits that make it nice to grow at home for more than just the flowers, which, as you can see this year, is what we're growing it for. A little bit more now about the plant itself. It does have wonderful foliage, so I will hold this up to the camera a little bit more. We'll show some close-ups. As usual, we'll show some B-roll of this. But very nice mottled foliage with heavy green, dark green barring with these very nice grayish green stripes kind of filtered throughout. And this particular plant has amazing foliage. It's one of the better ones, I can honestly say, of the ones we've seen online. This particular plant has some of the most striking foliage I think that we've seen. So we're very fortunate to have it. And of course the flowers are pink flowers and they are fragrant, which is another reason why this is such a special Phalaenopsis. Is not too many of the Phal family or the genus is fragrant, but these are. And even this, with its poor blooming this year, you can detect some scent, which is very nice. You can detect some, it's like floral kind of, I'm very bad at describing scents. That's why I don't do wines and other things, because it smells, okay? So you can smell it. It definitely does have a scent. That's a little bit about the plant. It does grow a lot of aerial roots and it's fun to grow. It's fairly easy to grow vegetatively in our environment. So now let's delve into a little bit more about how we grow this plant and what we've done and what we've seen in the past and why I think that it is blasted basically all of the flowers this year.
Phal Phail.
When we got the plant about 2 years ago, it had a spike and then it flowered last spring, a couple springs ago actually. It flowered and had a nice display, and then it kind of took a break. We grew it cold, so we've been keeping it on our floor, on the tile for most of the year. Throughout the summer, we keep it on the tile, and it's a bit colder down there and shaded, so it doesn't get any direct sunlight. And if you've watched any of our other videos, I don't want to delve too much into the fertilizer thing about orchids. However, last year we really cut back on our fertilizers. I was kind of on this thing, I guess you could consider it like a full-scale experiment, just to see how little we could get away with fertilizing. And I think this particular plant is one that, combined with the cold of the winter and the reduced fertilizers over the last year, it really did not put on a good display this year. In fact, again, it blasted pretty much all of the flowers. We have one and kind of a half flower that's like, it's been half opened for, I don't know, almost a week now. And the one flower that did open has some browning petals and sepals already, and the form is really bad. All that is to say, I'm starting to rethink my position on fertilizers, and going forward we are going to fertilize this as well as all of our other plants on a regular fertilizer schedule that is recommended in pretty much all of the orchid forums, and anything that you talk to about experienced orchid growers, they use the tagline, you know, fertilize weekly, so every week, weekly. And you should use a weak fertilizer solution, so a quarter strength based on what's on the bottle. So a weak fertilizer solution. We did do that our first year with orchids, and they did great. And then our second year, last year, we totally cut back. I don't want to go into why. We'll make a separate video on why we chose that route. Now I'm kind of regretting it because we were so excited for these flowers. They, you know, with the fragrance, and quite honestly, this plant bloomed so well. It put on an amazing spike. It grew right according to schedule and had about 8 buds that all formed and were nearly about to the point where they were about to open up. And one after another, they started to die. And you can see there's still one dead little bud here hanging on, and I'm gonna rip that off. Or, well, I'll just leave it till it falls off on its own. Why do I think it's fertilizers specifically? A couple reasons. First, the plant has grown vegetatively wonderfully for the whole time we've had it. So it has enough energy and nutrients from the light and its fertilizer and water. It has enough of that to put on good vegetative growth. You can see this leaf has grown steadily over the last, I don't know, like 6 months. This leaf has been slowly growing. That's not the first leaf. It's grown, this is like the 3rd leaf or so it's grown since it's been with us. So it did great vegetatively, new roots. There's a new root tip and many new root tips coming on all over the plant. I think it has enough energy to get by and do good. However, when it comes to flowering, if you aren't really into flowers or you don't know that much about flowering plants, you know, the flowers are a major sink of energy. So the plant puts a lot of resources into making the flower, and especially flowers that are fragrant. The aromatic compounds that the plant has to make cost the plant a lot of energy. I'm just speculating based on my knowledge of biology and plants that, you know, it had enough energy, enough nutrients to do really well vegetatively, but when it came time to grow this spike, it used up what it had, and it was going great, and then it ran out. So everything that we gave it last year, which was not much, it used up to produce the spike. Then when it needed to get over that hump and actually make all the flowers bloom, it didn't have enough energy and enough nutrients. That's my theory on why this plant has performed so poorly this spring and why we're so sad. It's so sad. Oh well. You know, we're going to keep going. We're never giving up here at LPLR Orchids, although I did bring out the Death Terrarium just as a little, you know, keep going, flower, you're not dead yet. Just check back in. Thank you guys for subscribing and for liking what we're doing here. We really appreciate all the support. Check back in soon for one hybrid. So yeah, of course, species can be a little bit more temperamental. Here's a hybrid. You know, hybrids are nice and easy. Well, okay, not always, but generally much easier to grow. Hopefully all of these buds will actually make it to bloom. This is the Yang Yang Supermodel, Gigantea alba ex speciosa coffee. So hopefully we'll feature that one soon in our Hybrids Highlights playlist. Thank you guys. We hope you have better luck with your schillerianas, and we will see you back here again at LPLR soon. Have a good one.